Hi guys, let's talk board games. And not just any board games, but board games that can actually help your students practice solfege patterns and reading music. Isn't that amazing? So last year, here's a little story for you. Last year we were distance learning, and because of distance learning, I'm sure some of you had similar problems with fewer kids showing up. I had shorter classes, we were online, so we had that whole hurdle. I also had students kind of coming sporadically, so I'd see them sometimes and not other days, and it was just kind of a hot mess. And with all of that, my second graders ended up working on law for like forever. And we got to about March and I was like, I just need something new and something different. And so I created this board game called Lucky Lemons, where my students and I could practice and play a game that they would be really into and that would also help them learn solfege. So we have done it both online and we've also done it in person now that we are in person, and the kids absolutely love it. So I wanted to share it here with you. It is available as a printable or a digital activity, so you can get that. It's linked down in the description for either version. And currently I have Somi La and Somi La Do. I'm planning to add all of the other, solfege patterns, but if there's one in particular that you would really like to see, let me know. And as I add more to my TPT shop, I will also add more links to the description. So if you're watching this, like a year from now, hopefully we'll have many more than just the two. So what we're doing is I'm actually starting with the digital version. So we are now in person, but I find that with anything, it is so helpful to have my kids do it as a whole group before we do it individually. So if we're gonna do something for centers, we'll do it one day where everyone's doing it and I can help you. And then we can do it for centers once you already know how to make it work. And then, we can change the solfege, or we can change the rhythm, or whatever it is we're working on. So we start with the digital one. I throw it up on the screen. There are directions and also video directions in there so that you can check it out. And then I break them into groups. So 4 groups, because there's 4 different pieces on the game. And we get into groups and we get started. So to play Lucky Lemons, what we're doing is we have, this is your little board game on the digital version. You play the little video and it will it'll roll the dice, and you can stop it at any point. So I have one person from the team tell me when to stop, and they say stop. I'm like, great, okay. So if it lands on 4, then I'll move their little person 4, or I'll have somebody who is on the computer do 4. And then whatever dot they land on, we're actually gonna click on that dot and it is going to take us to a slide. On each slide, there is a activity, a challenge that they need to do. I always call it a challenge, so they feel like they're challenged. So here's my first challenge that I just clicked on because I went 4 spaces. And so it just says sing this pattern. Each one is different, but you'll have sing this pattern, and then if they get it right, they earn a lemon. You can click the little check answer button after the team does it, and it'll tell you what the solfege syllables are so that you know. And then it says if you get it right, then you can get 1 lemon. And then you click there to go back to the board. And so then you'll move a little lemon into, that's the orange team, into the orange team's box. You keep going and keep going around and have each of the teams go until you get all the way to the last circle. And then once you get to the last circle, the game is over. Count up how many lemons everyone has, and whoever has the most lemons wins. Now there's a couple of different ones. So there's a couple of random ones. So for example, there's a switch places with someone else on the board. There's double lemons, you get 2 extra points. There's sour lemons, move back 2 spaces. Lucky lemons, you get a second turn. And then there are other ones such as filling in the missing note on the board, and they're all color coded, by the way, or filling in all of the notes on the board, or writing in the solfege letters. So there's all sorts of different things like that, so that they really get a wide variety of practice. I wanted it so that they were practicing reading, they were identifying, they were putting notes on the board, just doing a lot of different things so that they could really practice lots of different things. That was a really great statement, Becca. And it worked really well. Because I had them in teams, they were really into it. And if there were some students who had a harder time, I was able to pair them with someone who maybe was having an easier time. And that really helped as well to just kind of even it out a little bit. Then after we played together, whole group on the board with lots of, Miss Davis guiding, then we did the printable version on their own during centers. So I had the kids get into their, you know, centers groups. They already know how to play at this point. So it's just really the same thing except printed out so that they, you know, can move their piece around the board and they, you know, still pull up a card. The one main difference is that with the cards, I found it easier to just have them all in one stack versus on the digital version, they're color coded. So if you land on a blue dot, then you go to one of the blue challenges. The kids really loved it. They were able to do it really well on their own. And I also found that they were pretty helpful to each other. So if someone was struggling, they were pretty good about helping them out and figuring out what to do. It's also a really good assessment piece because you can actually walk around and notate, you know, okay, who's figuring it out, especially if they're working in groups, because you can have them all do it individually. And then you can, you know, do it that way and notate, okay, this person's singing correctly, this person's identifying correctly. And it's a really easy way to assess kids while they're just having fun playing a game, which is my favorite way to assess kids. So really big hit both online and in person. And I'm glad that we have the digital version, even though now we are in person and can use the printable version, because it's still easier to just do it like whole group. Also, if your kids are having a hard time working together, you could do it whole group and you'll still get the same result. So much fun. The kids absolutely loved it. I even asked them both online and in person after we were done. I was like, can you just tell me if you like this? I'll do that sometimes with new lessons. I'm like, can you just tell me what you thought? And they were like, yes, it was so much fun. I was like, okay, cool. So really, really big hit. Now, a couple of things I would highly recommend. Number one is if you are going to do the printable version in particular, I would make sure you print it out on cardstock, specifically so that it's a little bit firmer, and with the cards you can have, you know, the writing down and they can't see through it. If you use regular printer paper, they'll be able to see the challenges through the paper, which is much less fun. Just a little hint for you there. If you are doing the digital version, make sure that you're in edit mode and not present mode. It will not work in present mode because you cannot drag things in present mode, so do be aware of that. And it is slightly easier on the laptops than it is on the iPad, although clearly I just did it on the iPad, so it's not too difficult. But if your students are having trouble, that might be something that you look into. All right, friends, so that is all for how to play Lucky Lemons. It is such a fun game. I highly recommend it. I hope that you will do it as well. Let me know in the comments what patterns you are looking for. So do you need like so mi? Do you need pentatonic? Do you need like low so, low la? Let me know down in the comments so that I know what to work on next. And also, I'm thinking about making a rhythm version, but I want it to be something else. So we have like Lucky Lemons. I want it to be like Lucky something else. So if you have thoughts for what it should be, I like the alliteration, I will say. Let me know down in the comments, and then that will help me out, and then you might also get a part in, you know, the new ones that are coming out. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.